Well, welcome to Prescott Love Field in the high plains of northern Arizona. Elevation throughout this area is about 5,000 feet, with mountains above 7,000 feet in the near area. And we're going to start a little flight out of this controlled airport this morning. Tower frequency here is CTAF is 125.3. They operate from 6 in the morning till 10 at night. We'll be departing on the longest runway, the primary runway. It just so happens it's available, 21 left. And with the overruns, it's nearly 8,000 feet. There's a parallel runway adjacent to it, usually used by light GA aircraft, and it's over 4,000 feet. There's a crosswind runway as well, and it too is over 4,000 feet. This morning on this local flight, we'll probably head up to Seligman, Arizona. But you get a good look at the airport. This is the home of Embry-Riddle. The airport does have an ILS approach. It has non-precision approaches as well. And the immediate area around the airport is generally free of most obstacles. There's a few neighborhoods not too far from the airport that as good neighbors we try to avoid. But it's a good operating base if you like to visit northern Arizona. And it's fairly busy at times with Embry-Riddle. Embry-Riddle has nearly 50 aircraft themselves, and there's probably close to 400 base general aviation aircraft at the field. Prescott is also the home to the National Forest Service tanker base for fire suppression. And in late spring to early summer, they can be extremely busy with several heavy tankers operating in and out of the airport. Under those conditions, they have priority. On this flight, we're flying up pretty much through a valley with little higher terrain on both sides. We go as high as 6,000 feet as the terrain climbs, with just 7,000 and a little more just off to our right at Picacho Peak. But here we are now getting up near Seligman. There's a ranch road below us that actually goes all the way down to Prescott area, so that it attaches to one of the main roads in Prescott. And up ahead is is Interstate 40, where it crosses Arizona. And of course, the interstate doesn't go through these little towns anymore like it used to. Seligman was originally an old railroad town, and a lot of folks still live there and enjoy it. It's tourism is probably its biggest little industry. Being on old Route 66, this is one of the longest remaining parts of Route 66 left. Runs from east to here and continues all the way to Kingman and beyond, up to Oatman and almost to the California border. So it's one opportunity to enjoy old Route 66. And now we're coming up on the little town itself. It's not a city by any means, just a nice little town. Normally we would kind of cross midfield and make right traffic to land to the southwest. But I just got a call. There's 2 aircraft inbound, and they decided to make a straight in. They're going to have a little tailwind, but I would prefer not to land head onto them until I know exactly where they are. So I'm going to make a left downwind and make left traffic and land to the northeast. And here we are crossing midfield right now, and that's Seligman Airport below us. A very nice uncontrolled airport. It uses the Common Traffic Advisory frequency of 122.9, so pilots can exchange traffic between themselves. It's not quite high plains like Prescott. It's more of a high desert area. And lots of cattle, antelope, and even mule deer in this area. That higher terrain you see to the east of the to the west of the airport is the location where The Seligman radar, which is for LA Center and also for Prescott Tower, is located, as well as an RCO to talk to flight service and a remote frequency for center as well. So you can get good radio communications right on the ground at Seligman. Pretty good for a little airport. Even with all the livestock and cattle in the area, the airport is fully fenced, so you really don't have to worry too much about large animals being on the runway. At one time that used to be an issue, but the airport is completely fenced and the fences are maintained. That traffic is further out than I thought they were going to be, so I'm going to go ahead and make a left base entry and land to the northeast. I should be off the runway before they ever get close to the airport. So here we are on final for runway 4 at Seligman, and it's 4,800 feet long. Traffic is well behind me, so it's no issue. The ramp area comes up fairly quickly, but even with a little tailwind, we'll have plenty of room to get stopped. This is really a nice airport. It's well maintained, run by the county, and they take good care of it. Well, we're going to clear the runway to the ramp. It's a nice ramp area with available tie downs, and they have nice clean restrooms that again are well maintained. It takes care of them. There's a rotating beacon for the airport. So for an unattended airport, you'll find a lot more than you expected. As I say, it's completely fenced in. After we park and get tied down, it's just a 3/4 mile walk to two of the nicest restaurants in town. The Roadkill Cafe, a great place for breakfast, and they greet pilots there quite enthusiastically. And right across the street is the West Side Cafe, which is also great food and good service. So both of these are easy walking distance. A nice well-prepared walking trail takes you there. You'll see some prairie dogs along the way sometimes. There's a lot of prairie dogs in this area. Well, that flight from Prescott was just 41 nautical miles on a heading of 320. This time at a heading of 040 for 41 nautical miles. We come to pretty different country. We're approaching Flagstaff. We're on a 45-degree entry for right traffic for runway 21. A nice long runway, 8,800 feet. And at this altitude in the summertime, you could use all that runway. But it's cool now, and it's certainly not going to be much of an issue here. We're talking to the FAA contract tower here at Flagstaff. They operate by the same rules as any other FAA tower and use the same separation standards. Fortunate today, there's no traffic at all operating, and traffic is most often light at Flagstaff Airport. It does have its moments of busy traffic though. But they cleared me to land long, as I'm going to be going to Alpine Aviation. They're at the far end of the field. I'll be heading there to attend a FAA safety seminar. There's nobody holding for departure, nobody taxiing out, so me taking my time on a long landing shouldn't be an inconvenience to anybody. That's the San Francisco peaks you see off the nose of the airplane behind us. They're up to 12,633 feet, the home of the Arizona Snow Bowl. There's a lot of things to see here. This is a college town. Northern Arizona University is here. And there's a lot of things in the area. Jumping off just south is Sedona. East is Crater National Monument. And there's quite a few things in the area to see. This is also one of the largest ponderosa forests in the world. It extends from here all the way across most of Arizona to the White Mountains along the Mogollon Rim. It's for a continuous forest, it's one of the largest. And here again, I'm making a long landing. There's no hurry to get off. We'll get to this safety seminar. FAA puts these on to help pilots stay current and stay on top of new changes. So I try to make as many of these as I can, and I do a number of them online available as well on FAA.safety. So there's available training for pilots from many different sources. There is a restaurant on the airport at the terminal building. It's a short, about 4 miles into town and to the university area. Lots to see and do in Flagstaff, a very interesting downtown area. It's a good jumping off place to go to several areas, including the Grand Canyon is very nearby, and flying around the San Francisco peaks, if your aircraft has the performance for it, is kind of a nice little side trip as well. This is especially a quiet day even for Flagstaff, probably because it's a weekend. This is a Saturday when they have these seminars on. These other aircraft in this line are also here to attend the seminar. Now, if you're in a hurry for your bacon and eggs, Sedona might be just the ticket if you're leaving from Prescott. It's just 37 miles to the northeast. It's a really cool airport. They have runway 3 and 21. You have to follow the rules there, and normally you land, unless it's extremely strong winds, you land uphill on runway 3 and you depart on 21. And there is an offset procedure on your departure. So it pays to take a few minutes and read the AFD and become familiar with the airport and do your homework. There's lots of tour traffic, some low-level helicopter traffic, and the biggest problem tends to be Sedona's kind of loved to death, and people who are not familiar with the area come in without doing their homework. But it is a very unique airport. Here in Arizona, it's often called the SS Sedona because as you approach it, it tends to look a little bit like an aircraft carrier. Sits up on a plateau at 4,830 feet above Sedona. But it's kind of a really beautiful airport and beautiful views of the Red Rock country right from the airport. The restaurant is great, a first-class restaurant for dinner or for breakfast. It's very nice. You see us now on the approach to final. We're landing on runway 3, pretty abrupt as you come up, and it's a significant uphill as well. Of course, that helps you decelerate and slow quicker as well when you touch down. And we'll see if we can make that first turn off. It's not really important, but we'll see how it goes here. This is a full-service airport. The Unicom is manned, and there's ramp service when you arrive. A nice little terminal building. The airport has good security and is fenced, and it's a short walk to the restaurant. Even closer to home is Cottonwood, just 19 nautical miles to the east. Of course, you do have Mingus Mountain in the way, so you got to climb up to 8,000 to get over it, a little above 8. Otherwise, you can go around it a few miles out of your way to the north or the south and go around the mountain. It's an uncontrolled airport, friendly little airport, no restaurant on the airport, but they do have a courtesy car. If you play your cards right, you could get that. Lots of neat restaurants in the area, and some wineries just to the north that are pretty interesting, some good wine. But it's a very friendly place. On Saturday, they usually have in their little terminal building, they usually have a get-together with coffee and donuts, and anybody's welcome to come into that. So it's a slick little airport. Nice runway. They have Unicom frequency, but it's not manned from the ground. But there is an ATIS, at any rate, that puts out the automatic information on the automatic OBS. Still very nice. It's much lower than the other airports you visited so far. But you do have to, like I say, jump over the mountain or fly around it. It's in the middle of the Verde Valley. Lots of neat Indian ruins nearby, Tuzigoot and others. So there's a lot to see in the Verde Valley. A lot of Arizona's more ancient history is in this valley. Well, flying along the Mogollon Rim, going east from Prescott for about 59 miles, we come to Payson, a really neat little community. It's on the Mogollon Rim. The elevation is 5157, and they have a 5,000-foot runway. Here, a little group from Prescott who flew over for breakfast is departing. Usually 7 or 8 airplanes come over here as a group and have breakfast. One of the advantages, it usually has some of the lowest gas prices in the area. And this is an uphill runway, and we'll be departing with the right turn as soon as we have safe altitude to avoid a housing area. And I'm waiting for that aircraft in front of me to get airborne before I start my roll. We'll be heading the same way I am, back to Prescott. But Payson's a nice airport, a great little restaurant, as mentioned earlier, good fuel prices. And sometimes in the summertime they can be busy, and emergency can be used as a slurry bomber refueling base. But most of the year it's wide open and friendly and a good place to land. And of course we do see some snow here, as we do in Prescott at different times of the year at winter time. There's that community we're avoiding. We're making a right turn here, and we'll go on course, a heading of about 280, and with climb and everything it'll take about 35 minutes to get back to Prescott. Well, this time we're going to slide 97 miles to the west. That's the Colorado River you see at 11 o'clock, and that's the Topok area, wilderness area, quite beautiful in there. We're on a right downwind for Lake Havasu Airport. You get a good idea of the terrain around here. Everything kind of drains toward the Colorado River. Lake Havasu Airport is only 783 feet above sea level. The old airport, which was right on the river by the London Bridge, was just 400 feet above sea level. It was a beautiful airport, but the real estate got to be too valuable, and they could not expand. So the airport was moved up here, where there's lots of room and lots of expansion space. There's a lot to see in Lake Havasu. The old airport was where the London Bridge attaches to that island right off the Lake Havasu city. There's a little English town by the bridge, and yes, that is the original London Bridge put together here brick by brick. Lake Havasu's a new city that's built up, comparatively new compared to most cities. Largest part of the development here has been since the 70s, so it's continuing to grow. A lot to see. Very big on water sports, water skiing, sailing, jet skis, availability of a lot of sports. Even if you just want to take a paddle boat ride on the lake, that's available too. So it's quite a large airport. The ramp area is quite expansive. There is a non-precision approach. It's no tower here, but an active unicom that responds, and fuel services and pretty much complete mechanical services are available here on the airport. Well, this time we slide 110 nautical miles to the west, also on the Colorado River north of Lake Havasu. And this airport was built in the 80s, primarily by the hotel owners, primarily by Don Laughlin and the Riverside Hotel. The old airport was right on the river, small little asphalt strip. This large 8,500 foot runway was put here so it could accommodate jets coming in. Sometimes this is called the Walmart of casinos on the Nevada side, but that's really not fair. There's some beautiful hotels, and it's a nice resort with an awful lot to offer, being right on the Colorado River. This is a non-federal control tower, and we'll be working them all the way till we get to parking. They, again, abide by the same rules as the FAA. Generally, traffic is extremely light, but sometimes it can get unpredictably busy with little or no notice. So flying in here, I keep your heads on a swivel. Tower or no tower, keep your eyes open. There's an awful lot to do, of course, with all of the casinos and the gambling. They even have Laughlin Hotel has a really neat car museum on the top floors. There's a lot to do and see. There's even a indoor shopping mall. Keep in mind, it can get very hot here, up to 120 degrees Fahrenheit in the summertime. And even with the long runway, it can make it a little marginal for jet aircraft, but they still operate year-round here. The prevailing winds are generally north or south. The river acts like a funnel, especially in this part of the river. Well, okay, if you're going to come to Prescott to fly, you're going to want to go to the Grand Canyon. I understand that. But that's a subject all to itself. And you really must do your homework on this one. We have a video on my channel called Flying the Grand Canyon. You can go to YouTube channel and then look for C150 HP 150. That'll take you to my channel. Click on the videos and click on Flying the Grand Canyon. That will give you pretty much most of what you need to fly safely in this special flight rules area. And of course, your aircraft's going to have fairly good performance. You should be comfortable to operate up to as high as 14,000 feet. Although within the canyon, your maximum altitude that you'll have to operate is 12,500. But there is a lot more to learn about the canyon than I could tell you in a few minutes. It is a beautiful flight. It is doable. It's doable in aircrafts like Cherokee 180s, Cessna 172s. Generally, light aircraft and RVs and so on are fairly comfortable doing this with a good weather briefing and a good knowledge of the special flight rules area and the procedures. We hope you do make your trip to Prescott and do enjoy flying in our local area. There's numerous other airports well in range of Prescott, all of the Phoenix metropolitan airports, Scottsdale, and beyond. Even Tucson is not that far away, so it's a good base of operations for a lot of areas where you can enjoy flying. The weather is excellent about 95% of the year. Occasionally we have some weather that will give you some problems, but that's rare. Operating in higher elevations, and Prescott is higher elevations if you're from low elevations, because it does affect performance of your aircraft and the feel of the aircraft, and even visually what you see on an approach. We're heading back to Prescott now, and I hope you enjoyed the flight, and I hope you come fly with us again. Thank you very much.